Don't do a fall cleanup of your garden beds or orchard rows. Here's why. Let me start by saying, what is a fall cleanup? Do I mean mowing? No, mowing is okay. Go ahead and mow. But what I mean by fall cleanup is the tendency of people coming in and cutting all of the perennial stems down and down and down, lower and down. That's what I mean by fall cleanup. Don't remove all these stems from perennials. Maybe for you, fall cleanup means, what do I do with all those leaves? They're called leaves because you should leave them to the trees. They're called leaves because you should leave them to the trees. What? Well, mow them in. Don't remove them. Don't rake them away and take them away from the trees. You never heard that one? Let the trees have their leaves. Let the trees have their leaves. Let the trees have their leaves. Go through and mow. So here's our orchard rows. And yes, this part is mowed. Yeah, mow that. And it shreds the leaves. That's great. And it returns the leaves back to where the trees are. But these areas on one side of the orchard aisle and the other, these we leave. You think, well, but then you're going to have all these stems. Exactly. You're going to have all these stems. And what do these stems do? What are they bothering you for? You say, but it doesn't look clean. If you have a problem with clean, I would say just go take a walk in an area that's more natural. And what do you see? Do you see some creature has come and cut all these stems or laid them down in the fall? No. If you're ever in doubt what you should do, just look at what nature does in that situation. If you're ever in doubt what you should do, just look at what nature does in that situation. Does nature remove these stems? Certainly if an elephant, we don't have elephants here. If a moose, well, maybe you don't have moose where you are, but maybe deer will step on a few stems and they'll break a few down. That's okay. Why would you want to keep them? Well, let me give you a few good reasons. If you look at the top, so you see all these? These are the seeds that perennial plant worked so hard at producing. And look at that, full of seeds in there. You think, well, why do I want to leave seeds on it? Maybe because there are birds that are going to use it. You ever think of what makes a good bird feeder plant? The ones that have stems that are strong enough to hold the stem upright over winter. We'll get typically about this much snow. So when we get snow cover, these stems are all above the snow line. And so these seed heads way up here are all available for the birds over winter. I like to give them a natural bird feeder. If you do a fall cleanup and you remove all these, well, the birds have just derated your yard and said, you're no longer a 5-star yard. You might drop to a 2-star. Don't want to be a 10 for birds. Leave the birds have their seed. Let the birds have their seeds. Let the birds have their seeds. That's the number one point. Another reason why you want to keep your stems and not do a fall cleanup is if you look at this clump. This is oregano, and it gets pretty thick. I could cut it down now, but what'll happen is a lot of these stems still have, even though we've had cold weather, but there's still some green stems, there's still some oregano on there. Let the plant have its winter cover. Let the plants have their coats. Let the plants have their coats. What'll happen is when snow gathers, if you're in an area with snow, the snow will gather much better when there's a taller amount of material. it'll gather and settle and give it a better winter protection so the plant can overwinter better. Another reason is all these stems give some mulch, natural mulch, to the area and allow this plant a better protection from the coldest parts of the winter. So it's more likely to winter over successfully if it has all of its stems here. If you cut and remove all this, you'll have a much more bare soil or just a bit of mulch. Bare soil would be really the worst. So leave the plant have some stems for the winter. That is how it normally, naturally will overwinter best. Another reason, you see these are garlic chives and there's lots of seeds in there. Well, this plant will have its best chance of spreading if the seeds can spread on snow. And if you're not in an area of snow, it'll spread best when the seeds are ripest, because you may take them off and now you're removing the seeds. But it will travel and spread the seeds when it's a windy day and this stem is moving and it projects the seeds farther from the mother plant. So reseeding is a good reason. You'll get a better reseeding if you leave the plants have their stems for the winter. Let the plants spread their seeds. Let the plants spread their seeds. Another very useful reason is to get more insects. You say, I don't want no more insects. Look, more than 99% of all the insects in your yard are actually beneficial or neutral. They are not causing problems in your yard. There's only a small percentage that are really considered pests. And the others are often the ones that help naturally control the pests. But those insects that are called beneficial, there's a few things they need. They need a place, one, to winter or to lay their eggs for the winter. When they lay their eggs, a lot of them like to lay eggs in stems. Well, wait a minute. How can they lay eggs if you've come around and removed all the stems? So leaving your stems for the fall into next spring is going to give them all the little habitats they need to dig into the stem, either overwinter this winter or lay eggs in there next year. And you'll have more beneficial insects to do the job of patrolling and controlling the pests that you would have. Encourage your predators and you will naturally decrease the prey, which is, let's call them pests. So don't remove that fall cover, fall habitat. You ever think of the stems as habitat? Well, that's what they are. They're very important habitat for beneficial insects. Let the insects have their homes. Let the insects have their homes. I'm a nut. What can I say? I'm a nut for birds and insects. Now you say, this guy is nuts. By now, if you don't think I'm nuts, then you're as nutty as I am. All I want to do is simulate what nature is doing naturally by creating habitat, allowing more beneficial insects, allowing the birds to have some seeds. Because you know what a lot of birds do when they're gathering seed? Yes, they're seed eaters. But if they find a caterpillar wintering somewhere on a stem, they're not going to pass up that nice juicy caterpillar protein. So they will, while eating seeds, they will patrol the stems and your whole garden for overwintering pest insect with all of these stems. And it's worked so well that what used to be our worst pest, caterpillars, is no longer an issue. We don't even have caterpillars as pests anymore. It's fun to see caterpillars. So maybe you don't want to leave a whole area. Can you leave 50% of your garden beds or your orchard area and not remove all of your stems? You say, no, that's just too much. Okay, Can you leave a quarter of your area? No, that's too much. Leave a land tithe. You know what a tithe is? It's 10%. Maybe you can just leave one little area, a corner, or an area with just some stems. Even just 10% will benefit your beneficial insects, will add some habitat, will allow the birds to get some seeds in your yard. You can't do it all, you can't leave it all, just leave some. Please don't do a full 100% fall cleanup anymore. And you'll get more insects, you'll get more birds, and you'll get more fun watching them all. So if you can leave some area, but you still want to clean it up before next summer, maybe you can wait until mid-spring, and then you can mow the whole area. At least that will give the wintering insects a better place to winter over. You'll still increase your beneficial insect population some, and it'll allow you to do a cleanup at least at some point in the spring. Best would be to leave them all from one year to the next, but if you really want to have some cleanup, the easiest way, I say, is to come through and mow with a mower all of your perennial beds, and that way you avoid having to do all of the hand cutting. Just mow them in the spring, just before if you have bulbs, spring bulbs, before the bulbs get too high to get mowed off, you can come in with a mower. Your neighbors will think you're nuts for mowing when there's still just brown grass, but you'll have given the beneficial insects and the birds eating the seeds a boost over winter. Thanks for watching. Intrigued? Check out the virtual tour of the Permaculture Orchard. Have trees already? Pruningcourse.com. Subscribe, please. Check out some of the other videos or playlists. There's more to come. Stay tuned. Bye. Thanks for watching. See you next week. Bye. What else did I want to say?